Hey guys, welcome back. I made an attempt to do a video earlier on my iPad, and for some reason it quit around the 7 minute mark, and then I couldn't get it to record again. So I'm not sure what's going on with this. So I want to try something new and try to do it on my phone. So we'll see how it goes. Uh, Something a little bit different. This is number two in my series of recent haul videos. Now, guys that are around my age, I would say in the let's just call it in the over 50 club. When you were a kid, probably one of the first you know comics you read was the Archie comic stuff, or Harvey, or Disney, or something like that. But I read a lot of Archie comics when I was a kid, and I enjoyed them. Before I got into the serious stuff with the superheroes from the big two. But my cousins always had Archie comics. There was always a pile laying around, coverless Archie stuff or Harvey or whatever. And I just really enjoyed that stuff. And as I started getting into comics a whole lot and getting into collecting, I kind of got away from it. But every once in a while, I just kind of want to read something lighthearted. So I'll go back and I've got a couple of long boxes full of Archie stuff, and I'll just kind of peruse through some stacks of old stuff and just kind of relive some childhood memories. But I found a lot of trade paperbacks that I was really happy to find. When I started thinking about Archie stuff, I said, well, the stuff that I read was probably early 70s, and maybe there might have been a few books laying around from the late 60s, or it might have been some giant series that had some old reprints in them. But I found these, and I was, like I said, I was really happy to find them. I found these in a lot. It's called the Archie Americana series, and this has like the very first appearance of Archie, like from Pep Comics 22. You get to see the first appearances of Betty, Archie, Veronica, Jughead, Reggie, Papa Tate's Chocolate Shop, Mr. Weatherby, the Jalopy, the whole thing. But I really never got to read a whole lot of the 40 stuff because I don't remember ever seeing any reprints of those until maybe I started getting a few of those Archie digests when I was a kid. You might have seen something from the 40s or early 50s that had this style of art in it. It was very cool. You got a forward in this one by Stephen King. Because Stephen King was a big fan of the Archie stuff. But this is the very first appearance of Archie from Pep 22. A whole lot different than what we were probably used to seeing, as kids that read Archie comics. But a lot of cool stuff in here. I can't really wait to have time to sit down and read it. One of the first appearances of Veronica Lodge. Pretty cool. Looks like the art style was a lot different than I was used to seeing when I was a kid. Had a second volume from the 40s. More good stuff. An early Jalopy appearance. Looks like Miss Grundy there. Not sure. Okay, we have Best of the 50s. I'm not sure if there was a second volume of this. There was like two copies of this in with the lot. So, but the art's changing just a little bit. But kind of getting into the stuff that I knew as a kid. Here you have the Riverdale Gang. Like I said, there was another copy of that in the lot. We have a couple of volumes, Best of the 60s. This is kind of the stuff that I remember as a kid. A lot of Dan DiCarlo, Sam Schwartz, Harry Lucy art. Cool thing is, Archie comics are still going today. They've kind of changed a little bit, and really not a whole lot up to my liking. But they're still around. They've got a TV show, so what can you say? Volume 2 of the 60s. probably some Sam Schwartz art right there, but I'll be talking more about Sam in just a minute. This is the kind of stuff that there were just piles of it laying around, like at my cousins and aunts and uncles' houses. And my sister, she read a lot of Archie comics, and she liked the Archie stuff and the digests. Okay. Now, when I was a kid, I was reading this stuff, and once I realized that I was a comic book fan, and I became kind of artist aware, I guess I could say, even on Archie comics. And so, several years ago, I kind of wondered, I was like, well, who were these guys? And then, with the appearance of the internet and the World Wide Web, you can find out lots of stuff. So I found these volumes on Amazon. I had to get them for like 2 or 3 different sellers. But these were two of my favorite, or are my 2 favorite all-time Archie artists. And so you recognize this style, I'm sure. This is The Best of Harry Lucy, Volume 1, Archie Comics. Really nice hardback books from IDW. Like I say, I'm sure the style will be recognizable to most of you that read these as a kid. There's some great stories in here, just some assorted stuff. Got some little strips in the front and back. Pretty cool. And Best of Harry Lucy, Volume 2. This kind of brings back some great childhood memories. And probably my favorite of the 2 of these artists was Sam Schwartz. And to me, this guy was the Jughead artist because he was on that title so long. So here's Volume 1, Best of Sam Schwartz. And Sam actually did some work for Tower Comics too. If any of you guys remember, of course, you remember the Thunder Agents and all that stuff. But he did a feature called Tippy Teen from Tower Comics. And I've got a few of those. But he was the artist on that too. So, you can recognize, he was the Jughead artist and artist for a lot of the Archie stuff. No mistaking that style. Very cool. And Volume 2. And like I say, all these are from IDW. They can still be found out there. Anybody that's interested. Got to take my receipt out of there. Okay. The only other thing I have here, like I say, you might call Archie Comics a guilty pleasure. I'm just going to call it a pleasure. I still, from time to time, like to pull them out and kind of read those stories and get a little chuckle. See the Browning pages and give it a sniff and get that smell. One more thing, I saw this a couple 3 months ago in a issue of Previews, and they're actually making a comic called Archie 1941, where I guess they're taking the Archie gang and putting them in the decade-wise, I guess, or time-wise, putting them in the setting from which they first appeared in 1941. So you see some little different versions of Archie and Jughead, Veronica. Look pretty interesting to me. It's written by Mark Waid and Brian Augustin. Peter Krause is the artist. I think he did some art on the Power Shazam series several years ago. But It kind of interests me, so I'm going to check it out. It's just a 5-issue series, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, guys, I don't know how many Archie fans there are out there, but I know my buddy Alan at After Comics. He's a big Archie guy. I remember seeing one of his videos where his comic rack was behind him. He had some Archie stuff on the stand, so that made me smile. So Alan, this one goes out to you, buddy. And actually, and I didn't mention it already, I've got a couple of Archie books coming in that would be considered maybe key books as far as Archie is concerned. But more about that when I get them in, like I said. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and more videos to come. Over and upward.